Welcome to AC247's Top Story Countdown. I'm Stephen Walker. Right now I'm here to guide you through the biggest stories of the day. Here's our pick for number 4.
Bab al-Mandab, a small bottleneck in the Red Sea, which translates as Gate of Grief. For centuries it was mainly the undercurrents and reefs that captains feared. Today it is the Houthi rebel attacks from neighbouring Yemen, sparking global diversions away from the Red Sea. Shipping research from the London Stock Exchange Group estimates that diverting a tanker from Asia to northwest Europe around the Cape of Good Hope adds almost $1 million per voyage, while doubling the shipping time. How much of that will be passed on to the consumer is not yet clear, but some analysts say the impact may not be as dire as feared in the short term.
In terms of how this could actually feed down the supply chain to the end consumer and boost the price level of goods and services that we consume in our economies, the value of the shipping service is actually a very, very small fraction of the total value of the good or service that you're buying. So there is actually limited scope for that to seriously cause inflation.
The severity of the impact will inevitably depend on the length of the crisis.
Initially, we thought this was going to be a fairly short disruption. Now, I think our base case is more going towards months of disruptions, and that means a lot more cost.
The International Monetary Fund warned this week that attacks in the Red Sea, coupled with the ongoing war in Ukraine, risked spikes in food, energy and transportation costs. They also warned that if there were to be an escalation into a wider conflict in the Middle East, it would threaten global growth.
It's not the shipping costs themselves that are, getting out of hand. It is if this endangers energy supplies. Then we'd see oil prices rise. Then we'd see gas prices rise. And against that is the sort of thing that's going to spoil the party.
China, just the latest affected country to call for an end to the disruption on Tuesday.
The Red Sea is a crucial international trade route for goods and energy. We hope to avoid tensions in the Red Sea and call for an end to attacks on civilian vessels.
Disruption in the Red Sea follows disruption of Ukraine's wheat exports after Russia's invasion. It also follows chaos in the shipping industry during the COVID pandemic. Another reminder of just how sensitive global supply chains can be to unpredicted shock.
The Advocate Channel looks at the world through the lens of equality, community, hope and inclusion. AC247's Top Story Countdown continues with our producer's pick for number 3.
This is a surprise to me, and it is a delightful surprise.
Some economists think Americans are in for a personal budget boost. The Federal Reserve is signaling it could cut interest rates in the near future. That's after months of hikes and yesterday's vote to hold steady.
We're looking at continuation of the good data that we've been seeing.
Fed Chair Jerome Powell says the board is feeling confident about inflation, but not too confident.
He's the Fed chair. He needs to be super duper careful. I only need to be somewhat careful, and so I'm going to say we've had a soft landing.
That means reducing the rate of inflation without triggering a recession.
Now, the question is, how close to that target, to that 2% rate, do we really need to get before the Fed feels comfortable cutting rates?
Powell says cuts probably won't start until after March, but rates on some loans are starting to come down already.
We've already seen mortgage rates come down a little bit in anticipation of those coming cuts.
Meanwhile, a $78 billion tax bill is heading to the Senate after clearing the House last night. It would expand the child tax credit and revive some expired corporate benefits. The bill has fairly strong bipartisan support. That has some analysts feeling confident about its chances, but not too confident. I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The Advocate Channel is now streaming live on Amazon Prime in the News app. Watch us there or go to advocatechannel.com. AC247 continues with today's Top 2 pick.
In the U.S., nearly 1 in 100 babies is born with a heart disease or defect every year, according to the CDC.
Some of those might be more mild, but some can be much more significant.
Pediatric cardiologist Glenn Iannucci with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says not all heart problems are caught before birth. There are some conditions that can be missed in routine prenatal ultrasounds.
Really, that kind of underlies the importance of going for routine health checks with a pediatrician where they can listen, and then certainly if there's any concerns, getting evaluated beyond that.
There are medicines and surgeries that can help with even the most severe congenital heart problems, but first the condition has to be detected. Iannucci says signs of a heart condition will vary based on the age of the child. In general, for infants, it may include poor feeding, trouble gaining weight, or persistent fast breathing even at rest. In older children, red flags may be persistent vomiting, chest pain, passing out during physical activity, or shortness of breath and poor stamina while being active.
In the teenage years, a lot of times we're thinking a little bit more about acquired heart conditions in that setting. Some congenital heart defects may have gone unnoticed until that time.
Iannucci says once a problem is identified, lifestyle changes may also help.
Perhaps, we don't want you playing really aggressive sports, but these are things that you can do that can help to keep you healthy without putting you at risk.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The Advocate channel is your new source for news, entertainment and trending stories. We're highlighting the advocates in our community. We have now arrived at our #1 story of the day. Take a look.
Amelia Earhart, on a globe-girdling flight with navigator Fred Noonan, took off for a hop over trackless ocean wastes and was never heard from again.
It's one of the world's greatest mysteries. Nearly 87 years ago, American aviation pioneer Amelia Earhart was attempting to become the first female pilot to circumnavigate the globe. Her plane, along with her and her navigator, vanished. On July 2nd, 1937, they departed Lae, Papua New Guinea, bound for Howland Island, about 4,000 kilometers away, when their plane was lost over the Central Pacific Ocean. The pair were nearing the end of their journey. Earhart's twin-engine Lockheed Electra was never recovered. Their remains never found. Now this new image may be the key to bringing some closure to Earhart's story. Pilot and real estate investor Tony Romeo of South Carolina-based company Deep Sea Vision led a team on a 90-day expedition to look for the lost plane in an extensive search. The group of underwater archaeologists and marine robotics experts scanned more than 13,000 square kilometers of the ocean floor when they spotted an anomaly, roughly 161 kilometers from Howland Island, where Earhart was planning to refuel.
The twin vertical stabilizers in the back are very clear on the sonar image, and those were very distinctive of Amelia Earhart's aircraft.
They used an underwater drone with sonar mapping capability.
The technology that we used was a Hugin 6000. There's only a handful of them in the world, and the 6,000 means 6,000 meters, so it can go all the way down to full ocean depth with the 6,000 meters to the bottom of the ocean, and then basically flies like a drone back and forth, scanning the seafloor for anything interesting.
Romeo and his team plan to return to the area soon to confirm that the object is in fact Earhart's plane, while also looking into the possibility of bringing it to the surface.
We need to go and take a look and put a camera basically on the target. We need different equipment, probably an ROV, to go down there with some arms and some pinchers that can take a look at the target, take a look at how it's sitting in the soil, in the mud, on the sand, on the sandy bottom of the seafloor.
The fate of the legendary aviator has inspired many explorers to undertake similar pursuits without success. Now this group hopes to finally put to rest the mystery that has captivated generations. What happened to Amelia Earhart and her plane?
That's today's countdown. Download the Advocate Channel app on your phone or smart TV. We're also one of Fire TV's newest free live news channels. There's more news and entertainment coming up after the break.